Chief of Defence Staff and Commander of the Army, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva, senior officers of the Sri Lanka Army, ladies and gentlemen. Needless to say that I am extremely pleased and privileged to be here this morning at the launching ceremony of the Sri Lanka Army Way Forward Strategy 2020-2025. I must thank in this regard the Commander of the Sri Lanka Army, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva, for inviting me to be here. Thank you, Shavendra, for sharing the good work that you have done and for me also to say a few words. Well, I did have a very brief opportunity to browse through the Way Forward strategy, and I'm very glad to see a very comprehensive compendium of strategies put together. Rarely do you see this kind of collection of strategies towards a particular goal. No organization, leave alone an army, can go forward without knowing where it is going. This is true for individuals as well. Stephen Covey, in his seminal book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, presented the second habit, begin with the end in mind, which is a very profound habit, just to know where you are going. So organizations must know where they need to go, because that is crucially important for their organization's well-being. The strategy encompassing a 7-pillar approach seems to be quite comprehensive. And what was presented this morning, I believe, encompasses a whole lot of things that a national army needs to look at. Undoubtedly, national security takes priority and therefore is placed at the forefront. Nation building and reconciliation is the 7th pillar, interestingly, because once you have your national security at the forefront and emanating from it, all what comes out will be towards ensuring that you are part of the nation building process. Now, with the role Sri Lanka Army is called upon to play in the current situation, I don't think you ever envisaged to play this role that you are playing now, and which is highly commendable, well appreciated by the entire population, no doubt, because it's done so professionally, which is the fight against the COVID pandemic. I believe this pillar would have to be modified to cater to any unforeseen situation in the future. Part of nation building and reconciliation, you may have to add something, maybe facing uncertainties or whatever. But I'm sure you have room for that kind of thing. The only certainty about the future, my dear friends, is that it is uncertain. So preparing for uncertainty in a strategic plan is crucial. You must leave room for that. And how do you leave room for that? The only way one can leave room for that is not by physical resources, in my understanding. It is by the human resources that you have, the quality of the human resources. Because what will come to the fore, or what will come to fight against any unseen or unmapped or uncharted adversity will be the manpower. So when they are prepared, when they are trained, when they are equipped, and when they are resilient, obviously you have a very strong force to combat any misgiving. So all our strategies need to be elastic so as to accommodate any future situations. I dwelled upon and harped on the human aspect because an army's greatest strength is your human beings, no doubt. Then when you look at the 5 core objectives, very interesting. The readiness, the reliability, the relevancy, the resilience, and the respectability. Now these are very important things for an organization to move forward. I guess His Excellency's confidence in you, confidence in your leader, the commander, confidence in the rest of the army, is not only because he himself comes from your great organization, but he has this great confidence in you because over a period of time, continuously and progressively you have shown to be the strength of the nation. You are there at any time. You have never said no. You have never said I can't. You have never said we are not ready. So your readiness had always stood in good stead for the well-being of the nation. No wonder the Commander-in-Chief feels so comfortable in handing you the responsibilities at times the civil organizations should have done. That is because of your professionalism. That is because of your immaculate implementation. The ability to do things on time. All this comes from great training, and I'm so glad that part of your strategy is to ensure that your manpower is well equipped and ready for any unforeseen situation. Now, I looked at, as I told you, I had a brief opportunity to look at a draft, and chapter 5, which contains the directions and guidance, I believe, is extremely comprehensive, because there is no point in having the very high-level strategies done up unless you have the accompanying activities to support them. How do you get to that strategy? That is to activities. So, which I think the 120 sub-strategies categorized under each pillar of the 7 pillars present the entire activity compendium. I went through each one of them. And I was so, it was like, I went back to my business school days. When we studied strategic management, I very carefully remember, I remember this particular comment made by this lecturer who said, where do you think strategy comes from? So, obviously, we gave all sorts of answers. But his answer was the most accurate and which is very appropriate. He says strategy comes from the army, comes from the armed forces. It came from the war. It came from the ability to combat and the ability to face the enemy. That is how strategy came into being. So we have borrowed it from you all. When I say we management guys, we take it from you all. So strategy is something that you are very familiar with, and you know how to formulate a strategy and you know how to execute a strategy, which is the beauty of this. Now, I'm also very pleased to see that the way forward strategy contains a pillar which, in my understanding, is generally not included in this kind of strategic plan, and that is the dignified retired life. All those who contributed to it, all those who thought about it, all those who got it enshrined in this book, I must be commended, because that caters to the well-being of your friends and colleagues who worked with you and who are no longer in the same position as you are now to get on with life, with various disabilities, with injuries, even if you don't have injuries when you are retired, having led a very active life, there must be some way to look after them, because they have given their life for the well-being of people like us who are not in the armies or not as a part of the force to combat any threat to the country. You have given your lives, so they need to be certainly looked after. Now, I believe, I want to recommend this to the commander, this great effort, if you can share it with the rest of the public sector. I think that's a great help that you would be doing. Every public sector organization, whatever you may say about it, they are very keen to plan and execute a strategy which will take them forward. But they don't know how. Maybe because they don't give emphasis the way you give emphasis to training. They don't give emphasis to capability building or capacity building the way you do in your organization to their organizations. So they have a kind of a vacuum in which you need to play a role. I think sharing your knowledge with them will be a great thing. Now, if that can be done, maybe through your staff college or maybe through other organizations which deal with training, most public sector organizations would have to have a strategy to take them on the next 4 or 5 years and beyond. Now, finally, I would like to say, we are coming into a world which is, as I said, we are certain of uncertainty. But there's something that we can make use of. Technology has taken great leaps forward. Technology has gone beyond our human imagination. Sometimes we can't even comprehend what technology can do. Artificial intelligence, for that matter, they are able to bring out something, some mechanism which can think almost like a human being, but without being constrained by the emotions that a human being has. The great ability of the artificial intelligence mechanisms to map out certain things. Because they look at all sorts of algorithms, they look at all sorts of factors, what has happened in the past, what is happening in the present, and then what they envisage would happen in the future, which are generally forecast. But all these put together, I think will allow armies to become more resilient, more prepared, and above all, to be able to be ready for this uncertainty that you and I will have to face. So, just to add something to it, all this good work that you have done, undoubtedly, the Sri Lanka Army Way Forward Strategy 2020-2025, I would even recommend that management students look at this, because this maps out. And when I was listening to the presentation, the way it was done, I was extremely pleased that it was done bottom up. It's easy, top down. Top down is okay, you do this, you do this, you do this. But bottom up gives you the real ground level understanding. What went wrong and what goes right. All that is there. So when it comes up to the policy level, formulation level, comprehension, all these things are taken on board. And that is how the best policies are built. Even in public administration, the contemporary public administration theory demands that there is always the bottom-up approach, but which hardly gets into practice. So I like the way the commander of the army has brought all his men together to do this great exercise. And this, I'm sure, will take the army not only forward during the next 4 or 5 years, but you have built the platform for the army to go beyond 2025 in a more resilient and a more confident manner. And I commend everybody who has been involved. Especially commend Lieutenant General Chavindra Silva, Commander of the Army, Chief of Defence Staff, for having led this great endeavour. Because this is a great academic exercise you have done. Practice brought into academic domain is something that we all must commend. So all the very best, and thank you very much.